It's very important that all future authors understand this. We are reaching a time where just because somebody on a bestseller list don't mean their book better than yours. Just because somebody with a traditional publisher don't mean your self-published book don't mean nothing. No, it's a lot of politics with it. You can't worry about that. You got to trust your pen, your paper, your computer, and take it to the next level.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Writing Inspirations with Marky Books. I'm your host Dan Ricoberry, and here we have our guest for today. Say hello, Terrance.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm author Terrence Weasel Smith from Texas, and it's a pleasure to be on this magnificent platform with you.
I'm happy to have you too. So, Terrance, how long have you been a writer?
Well, I first started in 2013 on my book journey. I started with my first book called The Highs and Lows of a Young Black Man Journey, My Story to Texas A&M University. I dropped that in 2013. And basically, I've been writing all my life, but, right when I finished college, I just wanted to tell my story. So I didn't know how to do that. And I remember one of my college professors was telling me that, hey, man, I got many books. You need to write a book. So around that time, 2013.
Why did your teacher ask you to write a book?
Because he seen I was very perceptive in what I read and how I gave him back feedback from some of the things he asked me in class. And he said I had an interesting perspective that I write from. And he was like, I could change the world if I really just utilized it and took it serious.
Oh, okay. So he gave you a suggestion and you decided to make a career of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what's like the story behind you creating your first book? Other than your teacher asking you to write one.
Well, my first book, The Highs and Lows of a Young Black Man Journey, I wanted to share a perspective with kids that grew up in low income areas that you can use your intelligence, whether you have the money or not, to make it out your environment. But also, I wanted to show the rich people and people who had kids that never had to struggle that it's always somebody who deserves what you got, but might not have the resources. So understand you need to be grateful for having somebody that loved you to set you up financially, because I represented a kid who grew up in a bad area. However, I knew I had the intelligence and the mind frame to make it out. And I didn't know how I would make it out, but I just knew God had something bigger for me than where I grew up at.
A question. Are you like a full-time author right now, or you are like doing another side job?
Yeah, I got a side job where I pay my bills because, I lost my mom and I've just been through so much lately where, I'm trying to refine myself. But I traveled the country with my books and I'm a national author anyway, national independent author. So I'm fit to get back on it, as we're going to discuss later in the journey of this podcast, what I'm about to do next and how I'm about to crank it back up.
Okay. Are you like self-published or traditionally published?
Yes, let me get to that too. And I need you to brace yourself for this answer because the viewer's going to need this. I'm a self-published author. However, my material fits the traditional publishing. But a lot of people want to write books, but they don't know the business side to books. Back in the day, when you had guys like Robert Greene and all these other talented authors, it wasn't about the Facebook followers, Instagram followers. It was about the work. Now, the politics with everything, you can have the best work and material, but if you don't have a lot of those different things, the traditional publishers are not going to do business with you. So my biggest thing is I chose the self-publishing route because I wanted to control my journey. I'm educated. I got 3 degrees and I'm working on my doctoral degree in business. So I'm very business oriented. So I don't need a traditional publisher to hold my hand and set up book signings for me. I'm the type that I can do my own marketing plan. I can go to New York, New Orleans. I can go to Las Vegas and do my own book signing. So I always been very sharp handling the business side, but it's very important that all future authors understand this. We are reaching a time where just because somebody on a bestseller list don't mean their book better than yours. Just because somebody with a traditional publisher don't mean your self-published book don't mean nothing. No, it's a lot of politics with it. But if you read my books, which we're going to discuss later, the other ones, but even when you read the highs and lows of a young black man's journey, Walmart.com sell my book as an independent self-published author. My book was number one in the Southern United States on Amazon for hottest new releases when it came out. So God has blessed me being a self-published author to live a lifestyle almost like traditional published authors. So understand the business side when you enter in the book game. It's a lot of money that you will have to invest in yourself. It's a lot of money that you're going to have to put marketing yourself. However, you got to look at it like this. It's worth the money to become a household name. And you're going to see the money eventually. However, it's going to be a huge investment being a self-published author. And now with the traditional publishers being picky about who they give signings, who they give book deals to, you can't worry about that. You got to trust your pen, your paper, your computer, and take it to the next level.
Right. So, was your work inspired by any other author?
Nah, because really, and that's another thing that most viewers need to understand. A lot of people do not write their own books. If you ever look at their title, the cover page of their book, it say with a person. So I never really was inspired by other authors. However, I read other authors just to gain perspective because we all unique people and everybody got a unique perspective that they can share to the world.
Oh, my question was more like if other authors inspire you to try becoming one.
Yeah, but that's what I'm telling you. They didn't inspire me because I'm saying it in terms of so you can understand that it's more to writing a book than saying author inspire you. Most people do not write their own books. They work with somebody for their books. So I'm not inspired by somebody else's thoughts and your name being on your book. I'm inspired by unique ideas and the ideas coming from yourself. So me personally, I'm not inspired by them, but I'm saying I read their books just to get another perspective, but I'm not inspired by other authors.
It's fair. So, what did you struggle the most when you started your career?
It was more not understanding the business side. Like I thought when you put out a book, you become famous and you make a lot of money, but that's not true. When you self-publish, I appreciate your platform. So I'm giving gems that I never gave on any other platform. So when you self-publish, people don't understand that it's going to be a lot of money. They're going to tell you, hey, for this marketing plan, this $2,000. Hey, get copies of your book is this. It's a lot that come with self-publishing. And it's like, it's hard to, when you first start off, understand like, wow, why I didn't get rich? Wow, why I didn't become famous? But self-publishing, it will be hard. It's hard, but as long as you work hard and as long as you network and put yourself in position, you can kind of change the trajectory of everything. So I thought that I would be famous and I would make a lot of money as soon as I put out my book, but it wasn't like that. But once I actually learned a business, as we're going to discuss later, when I get to my second book, things start changing the way how I approach writing books.
Yeah. Most people usually ignore that.
Yeah.
Honestly, most will say that self-publishing is better, but in a way, traditionally, it does save a lot of effort in some ways, but sadly, get a deal with a traditional publishing, it's extremely difficult. And today, as you say, they became picky because the reality is that a lot of people actually write books.
Yes, I agree.
So, how long did you take to complete your first book?
Well, I always say this, and I live by this motto, and I hope everybody who view this podcast understand this. If you're gonna pick up a pen to write a rap, if you rap, or if you're gonna pick up a computer to type a book, make sure you have something to say. Because if you have something to say, it's going to easily flow out. So it took me what it took most people 3 years. It took me 3 months because I was just typing my life away.
That's actually pretty normal. The On the people I have interviewed here, the less time I have heard it's 1 month.
Yeah. But the average person, like where I grew up, like I'm in Texas, the average person when they inquire to write a book, other authors will be like, oh, 3 years, 2 years. But this where it take time, man. Most people don't understand, and I'm gonna share this on your platform. Like I say, I'm a different author. I'm one of the. If you Google my name, Terrence Weasel Smith, I'm on all kinds of platforms. I have did a lot of stuff in my life. However, I'm gonna share this. Most people don't understand when you write your first draft, you write it from your heart. So it might not be in order, and you can always go back and piece it together. However, when you edit your first draft, you're going to use your mind, which make the corrections, make the punctuation, put this in front of this. So it's a process. And most people, when they hear about writing a book or when they want to write a book, they don't think about the structure of the book. It got to make sense from start to finish. It got to have a beginning and end. It got to have this. So the average person, yeah, the people who've been writing, they come on the platform, yeah, they can write fast. But that was my first time writing a book. And my first time writing a book, I had to talk about my whole life. And I did that in 3 months. And when I say 3 months, I wasn't doing it every day. I would do it like once every week and I pieced it together, but it was all over the place. However, when I wrote it from my heart, I dropped tears on the paper because I was so emotional. However, when I corrected with my mind, I realized I made a lot of mistakes just starting off writing, and it took me a while. But, it's just more or less they got to understand.
Usually it's better to just rush everything on the story, on what you outlining. That's my next question. Are you a pre-planner, plotter, outliner?
Like what I did it on, what I wrote my book on?
No, I mean like how's your writing routine? Like, do you pre-plan everything? Do you outline?
Oh, I don't outline. What I do is I go to my notes on my phone, and if I think of something, I write it down. Like the book that we're gonna discuss later that you helped me with the cover. How I got it on my phone is I just think of something, I write it down, and then when I think of something else, I write it down. Then when I go to my computer, go to Microsoft Word, I make sure I put it in the order that it should be in. But I kind of don't outline. I just kind of just let it flow.
Okay. It sounded like you did base it on what you were saying before. So I thought that you outlined your work.
Yes.
So usually it's better to rush everything, you outline it and finish the story, and then you can fix whatever you think it needs fixed. It's the quickest way. If you write like 2 pages that day and then spend 2 hours correcting, you're losing time.
Yes, I like that. That's a great and all the viewers who watching this, what he said will help you tremendously as you start your book writing journey.
Did you suffer like a writer's block or something before?
Yeah, I never had writer's block because like when I approach something or approach a book, I look at it like I start off before I even get to writing. What can I write that's going to be different than what's been out before by other people? So I challenge myself with that. And then from there, I just let it flow. I mean, I don't have writer's block. I just learn to take breaks. I learned to let me write 2 pages today. Let me write. And I just try to align it by picking up where I left off when I do write. So I kind of don't have writer's block. I just kind of just like to strategic, put everything together in my mind.
Of course. So and now going to your books, do you have like a story of how you named your books?
Yes, like okay, let me talk about the books now. With the highs and lows of a young black man journey, my story to Texas A&M, it was about my life growing up in the projects in a poverty-stricken environment with no money, but just the heart and the mind to make it out. I knew right then and there, I had lows in my life, I had highs in my life, and it's my journey. I'm an African-American man, so that's why I put Black Man Journey on the title, but it's not limited to African-American people. It's for everybody, but it was my life. So my second book is called Whatever It Takes to Make It. And it's about somebody with the brains to make it to Ivy League school, but don't have the money and the things that he got to do to stay at Harvard. So he did some things that was crazy and unprecedented before he got a full ride, before he got in trouble and the dean gave him a full ride. So the title come from he did whatever it takes to make it, even if it was some bad things, because he didn't want to go back to where he grew up at. So that's how I got that title. And my third book, which is called Fortune 500 Dad, basically it's a fatherhood book. I coined the phrase Fortune 500 Dad. Nobody in the country ever came up with that. But Fortune 500 Dad mean to me that love and time make you a rich dad, not what's in your bank account. A lot of fathers think that because they rich, oh, I'm a good dad. No, they got people who might not have money, but they rich with love and time for their kids. So that what makes them a rich dad. Fortune 500 companies, they make a lot of money. Well, this idea coined the concept of basically you could be a rich dad as long as you're showing love and you're spending time with your kids. So I'm giving future fathers, current fathers, fathers older than me, fathers younger than me, a guideline to make fatherhood work for them. No matter if they rich, poor, it's something different. So as you can see, how I write my books and how I name my books, I try to be so different that I don't care if a traditional publisher signed me. Because guess what? I know if you put my content up with any book that's in Barnes and Noble, you will be like, oh my God, this guy should have a deal, or this is one of my favorite authors. So I don't care about the politics. I just care about putting out great work. That's all I care about.
I see there's a consistent message on your books, like all came from a personal place for you, and that they are literally like guides for life. That's like your team, if you can say it like that.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. And I'm going to use that in the future because I couldn't express it the way how you just said it. And I want to give you credit right now. And I want the world to know this about you. Even though I didn't release my new book called In Between Homes, it's going to be released in the future, maybe 2025 early. You are the first guy in the country that I met, no matter what state. When I told you my idea, you did it correct the first time. You seen the vision. And that's my real kids that you put on my cover in cartoon form. That's how my kids look. And I want to give you credit, and I want everybody in the country to understand, if you want somebody to make your vision come to life for your books, Marquee Books is one of the best in the country. I have been to almost every state, and I ain't never ran across somebody who listened to me. I didn't know you at the time. I didn't talk to you at the time. I talked to you via email. You are the first person to, I never had to say, hey, do this, redo this. You did it correct. You seen the vision the first time. And that's a rare trait. And I want to give you your flowers now. You are one of the best in the country. And I'm really grateful that you helping bring my fourth book to life.
I'm happy to hear that you're satisfied with our services. We nail it nicely, but sometimes we do corrections.
Yes, but I like the fact that when I told you make my daughter with the slanted eyes or make my son or hold the thing, like you got it. How you put the houses together on there, man, you are very talented. And I feel like my fourth book, I'm going to self-publish it, but I promise you it's going to be national like the other books. And I feel like the way you did that cover, I have showed people privately the cover, and everybody's blown away. I feel like when this book is released in 2025, this is going to be my biggest book, but it's mostly due to you doing the cover the way you did.
Can you tell us a bit about your recent book?
The In Between Homes?
Yes, if you can, of course, no spoilers.
Okay. In Between Homes is a book that's going to speak about or give the kids a voice that have to grow up in between homes, meaning mom and dad relationship didn't make it and they got to stay with mom one day, stay with dad the next day, and how kids don't never be asked how they feel about not having a stable home. Like got rules with dad, rules with mom. And it's like when they learn dad rules, they got to go back and learn mom rules. When they comfortable with mom rules, they got to go back and learn dad rules. So it's basically something that's going to change when it comes out. It's going to change the way how we look at people not getting married and having kids together, how they separate. It's going to change the United States in terms of the culture to start talking to the kids and making sure their mental health good because of grown up decisions that they didn't have nothing to do with, you know?
So, from all the books you have written till now, which one is your favorite?
I think the one that you helped me create the cover, that's gonna be my favorite. Like In Between Homes when it come out, because I'm gonna say this, and I'm a stand by my statement. You know, dealing with my self publisher, I love them to death. You know, they never had nobody talented like you because they did my covers for me to see my vision. So I had to settle with the covers because they didn't see the vision the way I was trying to tell it to them. So to have somebody bring my vision to life, I'm more excited about this book than any other book because you nailed what I was trying to get across as far as the cover. You know, I want, because the cover is very important. When people see the cover, oh, they look like a good book, let me read.
Because
You basically,
it's the first impression you're given. So
yes, and see, my work always been up here, but my cover's always been down here. But this gonna be the first time that my cover and my work is at equilibrium, you know? So I really appreciate you for that.
okay, okay, thank you. So you basically already answered this question, but what advice would you give to new authors that starting their careers?
I feel like you know, with the competition level in writing and how everybody want to become authors, I feel like if you're going to write a book, like stand out. Like what makes you different from the rest? What makes this chapter different from a chapter in another book?
Basically, what you're saying is that everything is about the style, if you want to say
Yeah.
it like that.
Yes, perfect. So,
Because mostly these days, all ideas had been done, literally.
yes.
I don't think there's no book about something. So the only way to make you special is to tell it in a certain way unique to you with your style.
Yes, yeah, the style. The style is what stands out. And it's like even with my book, whatever it takes to make it. You know, like a college basketball game is always first half, second half. And if you're real good, overtime. This how I wrote that chapter. What I did on the inside to set myself apart. It's only 50 pages. First half, and I told the story until the climax. And then second half was the back end of the story. And I used the conclusion of the story as overtime, like an overtime game that's tied up. It's exciting. So I took that concept and I did it to the inside of my book. So I thought it was very cool and set it my book apart, you know, just because I didn't do chapter this, chapter that. It was first half, second half, overtime. That's how the theme of my stories was. So it's just basically finding a way to be innovative within a market that's already been saturated, you know, or things already been done before.
Yeah, usually that's the reason why people usually use trends to do that. To navigate in that in an infinite world of books. Usually people read what is trending at that moment, but honestly, I don't feel that writing what is trendy it's necessarily good. It's better to persuade people to read your book, even if it's not the trend topic. Like how in 2011 everyone was vampires and teenage apocalyptic worlds,
Yes. And then
for example.
also too, not to cut you off, but also people got to understand, like when I first dropped my book in 2013, you know, for the people that didn't support, this how I marketed myself. Rather you read my book or not, the literature going to always be powerful. What I wrote is powerful. And most people who, for example, that grew up in my area that didn't make it out, like I was fortunate enough to make it out, whether they read it or not, I marketed like, hey, if you read it, you're going to see what I saw that was different that helped me be part of the 1% that made it out this area. So whether you buy it or not, you got to always have the confidence to know, like, hey, my work is going to stand the test of time. So whether you support or not, you're not going to take away from the impact that this book going to have on your life if you do decide to read it. And being next to a lot of traditionally published authors at my book signings, like in Houston and stuff, all of them will come to my author table and read my book and say, oh my God, it's good. And I'm like, I know it's good. And just to get the compliment from people that's best-selling authors or traditionally published, even though I'm self-published, that motivated me to just keep running my race, keep pushing, you know?
You mentioned something interesting. I was about to ask this question. What has been like your top experience with readers?
Uh, my top experience with readers is basically for my second book. I created a campaign. Well, I didn't create it; it was already out there before in the universe. I think Nipsey Hussle from California, rest in peace, that passed away. He did a Proud to Pay campaign for his CDs when he was rapping. And what I did was when my book came out, I did a Proud to Pay campaign, meaning you can go online and get the book for cheap, or you can pay $25 for the book. I'm an independent author, and it helped me with travel and different stuff. And all my supporters, man, they was buying more. Like they'll give me $100 for one book, $25 for another book. So it was more. That was kind of like one of the top experiences I had because it made me feel great because I know my book wasn't worth even $10 because it was only 50 pages. But the supporters kind of stood behind me and supported the movement. And I made a lot of money, a lot of money. And I was just grateful. Like that just really blew my mind that people that didn't know me was willing to spend and support me with that campaign.
I'm happy to hear that. So, do you have like a big goal for the future regarding your career?
Yes, my biggest goal is to make it on some talk shows and be able to talk about my books because I feel like I'm ahead of my time. I feel like when you're ahead of your time, you can slow down and everybody got to catch up. Like, I feel like my books didn't have only thing about a traditional publisher that I like, they give major exposure. So my books is great work, but it be limited exposure or the exposure I can only afford. So I feel like I want to go on some talk shows. I want to go on another book tour nationwide. And I actually want to turn one of my films into a short film. I got a movie that I shot independently called Second Chance by Portrayal. It was on Amazon Prime for 2 years, and now I put it on YouTube for free. So I want to actually make it bigger, make one of my books big and turn it into a film.
Okay. Do you have like a support network with other authors?
Oh, yes. In fact, I got a couple best-selling international award-winning authors that I'm friends with. Like every time I go to a book signing, like all the authors normally gravitate toward me because I'm the kind of author that if I go like to New York and the people don't know me up there and I don't sell that many books, I give away like free items. For example, dog tags, a deck of cards with my book on there. I might give away my author table with my books for free. I give shirts with my book name on it for free. So a lot of authors see that, they think it's cool, and they exchange numbers with me. And we talk always year round, like, hey, what you got going on? Or, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? Like a lot of authors like value our friendship and they reach out to me or I reach out to them when I need something or advice. So I got a great support system when it comes to other authors in the field.
By the way, did you like work with other cover services before us? How was the experience?
Your experience was the best. I never had a great experience with the cover because they never cared to see the vision. Like I would tell them something, I would give them like the same description I give you, and they never get it right, and I would have to settle. So the experience with you guys is the best I ever experienced, and I recommend you guys to any author in the country, traditional, self-publishing. I mean, if you want to put original idea to use, I would go with Marquee Books, hands down.
Thank you. So, what do you consider was the greatest challenge in your career?
The greatest challenge was just not taking things personal. I feel like even when you do a book signing, you expect your family and friends and everybody to show up and support you. But I had to realize, like, when you elevating in life, everybody not going to come with you. Everybody not going to celebrate your wins like you celebrate their wins. So the biggest challenges was like when I first dropped my first book, it was strangers supporting me and people that I felt should have supported me didn't. And I was kind of bitter a little bit until, I started praying and God started giving me clarity. Like he was seeing strangers to help you before people that you knew your whole life. So I had to just be open to understand that and get out that mindset. But it kind of hurted my feelings though when I first started because I felt like I was giving the underprivileged a voice that they would never have if I wouldn't have put this in literature, you know? And it just wasn't resonating with people that if one make it, we all make it, you know? I'm not making it by myself because I'm doing it and I'm writing from a perspective that helps them out because it helps people not give up on them and see that they are diamonds, even if they in rhinestone areas, you know?
I get it. So, what do you think was the greatest accomplishment you ever did in your career?
I think when I went to New York, I landed an interview with a local news station. That was kind of big because they had authors from all across the country, but they chose me to interview. I think, and also like when Amazon had me on the bestsellers list, you know, for biographies, I feel like I was number one for a while, and that blew my mind. I mean, it blew my mind to say I'm a self-published author and I'm beating out traditionally published authors. And also when Walmart and Books A Million and Sears and all these Barnes and Nobles had me on their website as the independent author, man, I was grateful. Like that was big. Walmart is probably the biggest for me because I grew up going to Walmart, and to say my books as a self-published author is on Walmart.com, that is major for me.
Wow, actually, yeah, it's incredible. So, do you have like an advice for people to avoid burnouts?
I just feel like, you know, I feel like every author should be a fan of other authors. Whether they inspire you or not, I feel like you should go to Barnes and Nobles and get your ideas. For example, if I'm the children's book that I'm working on with y'all guys with the cover, I go to Barnes and Nobles and I look at different people, like how they do their book, how long they make it, just the words they use. Like I feel like instead of people are burning out because they are just using their own tools. Sometimes you gotta go and get inspired by somebody else to recharge. And a lot of people don't want to be a fan of the competition. But I'm not saying it's a competition, but I'm saying it's other people that's putting out books that's just as good as you. So sometimes looking at their work and say, oh, I like how they did this. Oh, let me do this that way. But you're not copying from them. You just seeing how they push the norm and will help you get your motivation into pushing whatever norm that you're trying to push.
My perspective on this topic is that people tend to overthink too much about it because honestly, first, books are not the only way to get ideas. Basically, just for going to the park and I don't know, see a woman slapping her boyfriend on public, it's already inspiring you from something. Or literally just going to the cinema or whatever. It doesn't need to be other books.
Yes, that's true.
That's why I think that people do overthink that a bit. And honestly, even if you're reading the work of others, it doesn't really. You can copy the style. It's not possible.
Yeah, for sure.
It won't happen.
Because I think when you read from others, you just seeing the angle that they're writing from. Like, for example, they got children's books that like you might have 50 children's books talking about Santa Claus, right? But somebody might use Santa Claus like in a different kind of way. As you open up the book, the Santa Claus move, and you're like, oh wow, I never thought about doing something at that angle. It's just more or less seeing the angles because I just feel like you said, exactly what you said. That's the main problem. You can find inspiration anywhere. I feel what you said was so true. And also, you just got to stop overthinking. You're right, 100%.
So, talking a bit about your future, do you plan like to go to an event on what's left of the year?
No, I'm going to just finish up with my fourth book and wrapping it up at the end of the year. But starting the first of the year of 2025, I'm going to start, I need to go to California, hit Florida up again, hit New York and another place, Chicago and Detroit. Other places, Chicago, Detroit. I got to get to the Midwest, and introduce the Midwest to Terrence Weasel Smith, and my work.
Well, that's great. At least you already had your plan set. So, do you have already an idea of your next books after In Between Homes?
Yes, yeah, I got some ideas in mind.
Do
I got
you
some ideas.
Can you talk a bit about that? It not nothing too deep.
Basically, I got something, about like relating tree roots to humans, like how roots grow, like trees grow underneath the ground and above the ground, and how we need to grow from the inside and the outside. So it's going to be something that transform how we look at things on a daily in terms of getting better, getting 1% better each day. How that it takes getting better for it to show on the outside, but where it count most importantly on the inside. Because nobody look within themselves for change. They always look in others instead of seeing that they magic powers within themselves.
So I noticed that your style is mostly about memoirs and biography books and those self-help personal. Are you planning like to adventure on another genre, like fiction, historical, whatever?
I think like looking at this new generation, and it's kind of crime is kind of bad all over the world, all over the United States. And I feel like if I do fiction, nothing wrong with that, but I'm not doing my part. I feel like I'm around a lot of stuff, man. And in my city, when I go to different places, and I feel like I need to just stick to kind of self help. That could be my contribution to the universe, like being an author that can relate to a lot of people, but also trying to take them to a higher consciousness for whatever motivation they might need to get through any situation that they going through with their life.
Actually, I prefer in that way personally because I do think we have like too many non-fiction authors. A bit hypocritical from me because I am a fiction author.
Yeah.
So, but I do think our market has enough more, but non-fiction doesn't have that much these
Yes,
days.
yes, yes. I agree with that.
So, you are not planning to do any event till next year when you publish In Between Homes, basically.
Yes, yes, because it's a lot. As a self-published author, it's a lot of money. For example, I'm gonna give the viewers what it's like being an independent author. Okay, if I go to New York and if I pay for the flight and I pay for the hotel room, that's almost $1,200. So I might get out there. Nobody. I'm from Texas. I'm from Beaumont, Texas. Nobody know me in New York. So even paying to get to that book signing, they might charge me $600 for 2 days, Friday and Saturday, to be out there and sell my books. When I get out there, I pay $600, and I'm already paying for the hotel and flight. So that's $1,800. I might sell 3 books, $10 a book. That's $90. I'm already in the red. So when I go to Houston, that's 70 miles away from Beaumont. The hotel ain't gonna cost me a lot. It might cost me $200, but the author table might be $150 for each day. So that's $300. That's $500. So in Houston, that's closer to my hometown. I might sell 8 books. So that's $80. So try going on a book tour where it's people that don't know you. The average person that go to book signings to purchase books, they might have maybe $30 to $50 to spend. So out of 80 authors, they can only buy at least, the average book is $10, $15 or whatever. They might can buy at least 3 books. Out of all the authors, it might be bigger authors than you that's traditionally published. So try going on 8 different book signings, 8 different cities, and then you only selling maybe 15 books, made $150, but your overhead is almost at 10,000. This is what new people don't think about. So that's why I'm kind of waiting for when my new book comes, because as I go to the book signings locally, I could take advantage of people buying my book so I can have money to go on the flights, you know what I'm saying, and get the hotel. So a lot of people don't think about it like that. However, trying to get known and trying to get people to know you, it's worth the money, but you got to be willing to operate at a loss until you reach that break even point. See, my dropping my first book in 2013, by 2020, I was just breaking even. I have put $30,000 into books, buying marketing stuff, and I probably just broke even in 2020. But I'm happy. I'm satisfied. I mean, I get odd jobs every now and then to help me fund my dream. However, I'm satisfied, but the average person won't be satisfied because they thinking writing books is the get rich quick scheme. It's not. You got to put the hard work in, and you got to be willing to build over time.
Honestly, I don't know where that idea even came from. Probably from the influencers, because it never have been a reality. Like literally, you don't need to look too far to realize that. Why? J.K. Rowling, yeah, there's like why 20 authors that will win like 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, but really, being a writer is not a job for to become rich. You can, of course, but it depends on many other circumstances. So yeah.
I want to share this on your platform because I appreciate all you done for me. So I want to share this on your platform. Every listener in every state of the United States and other countries, once you see this, understand this. You got to understand, I'm going to give y'all a breakdown. I'm with Author House as my independent publisher, my self-publishing. Okay, if somebody go to Amazon and buy my book, my first book is $13.95. I'm going to give y'all the basics of the royalty, how the royalty is set up. Okay, you go to Amazon and buy my book. Amazon get $5 for printing out my book. My publisher get $5. And I might get the $3 extra. I might get that. But sometimes you got to pay taxes on that. So for one book you bought on Amazon, that's maybe $1 for me. You go to Walmart.com. They printer's going to get the half. My publisher get half, and I get the minimum, maybe another $1. But if you go to Author House and buy my book, with most people not going to go there, not saying that they not want to go there because it's bad. People got a short attention span. Even if you tell them go there to buy my book, they're going to go to Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So if they go to Author House might get the bulk of the money and maybe give me $3, $4 a copy. So understand, even every 3 months when it's time, or every quarter when it's time to get a royalty check, your royalty check might be $6, $4. You got to be prepared for that. Like, I look at it like a good thing because, this is very important. Most of the time, you got to buy your books from the publisher. So when you buy your books from the publisher, if you're a self-published author, I look at it like this. Negotiate you a deal. For example, you might buy 20 books from the publisher when you start off. Negotiate a deal to get free books. So I might say, hey, can I get 8 free books? If they give me 8 free books, if I'm selling my book for $25, look at the math. I done made some free money off the 8 books, and I'll be recouping my money off after I sell my books. So it's more than 3 ways for you to get paid. However, when you think about becoming an author, even when you sell books online, the money ain't as big as everybody make it to be. However, it's still worth it if you selling your book hand to hand, or you selling your book at book signing and you're getting physical cash. You can still make it where it makes sense for you. It ain't going to get you rich the first time around, but you can still make a couple $1,000s, you know what I'm saying, real quick.
Yeah, exactly. In the end, if you want to become a 6 figures, etc., even as a bestseller, you need like a lot of luck. And if someone is making a movie or something like that, it's usually because of that.
And I had a situation where they tried to buy my rights to my second book. Like, people don't know this, but I was offered
don't do that.
The cinematic.
Never give full rights for your book.
Yes.
If there's something I learned for J.K. Rowling was to never concede that, because just even now, Universal had to pay her just for the park, the attraction park, the Wizarding World there.
Oh, wow.
Because she didn't concede rights.
And they offered me to do that, and it was kind of, I turned it down, and they was trying to give me a couple thousand for it. And I'm like, what? Like, that don't even make sense. And, my friends call me a fool for not doing it, but I just was like, they will own everything that I work for. And that money, you got to pay taxes on that money if they was to give you some money. And it's going to be gone real quick because we all got expenses,
Exactly. Do you have like a social media where people can know about your updates regularly?
Yes. Instagram is Weasel, Weasel BMT. And on Facebook, it's Terrance, Terrence, Weasel, Weasel Smith, Smith on Facebook. And you can reach out to me on my email at Author, AuthorTWS@gmail.com. Reach out to me, show some love, and like I say, let me know about your city. If you in any random city, man, I'll work something out and come out there and do a signing. So reach out, man. And once again, I appreciate you having me on this big platform. And thank you so much for all you have done. Well, all that you're going to do for my career, because we're going to continue to work, because your work is some of the best work I ever got. Dealing with publishers, not dealing with publishers, you've seen the vision. So I'm grateful to be on your platform. And it's an honor.
Well, I think that's everything. Thank you so much, Terrence. And that's it for this episode of Writing Inspirations with Marky Books. Thank you, Terrence, for coming and joining us today.
Appreciate you, brother. See you again. See you real soon.
Of course. Have a nice day. Bye.
All right, brother.